Am I?
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead. You may start. Go ahead, sir.
Hello po, am I audible po?
Yes,
Or
sir. Go ahead.
okay po. Thank you po. Ay, ito i-set ka lang po. Ayan, so good morning everyone. Good morning sir and classmates. So my report for today is about architectural design. So when we say architectural design, it is like a blueprint. So example natin about sa house natin or construction, it is like a blueprint. And for software engineering naman, it is a blueprint of our software or system. So when we say architectural design, it is a process for identifying the subsystem, making up a system and framework for subsystem, and control and communication. The output of this design is process is description of the software architecture. Architectural design is early stage of the system design process. It represents the link between the specification and design process and is often carried out the parallel with some specification activity, and it involves identifying major system component and communication. So why architectural design matters? So when we say architectural design, it is essential because it serves as a foundation of the software system. If a good design ensures that the system is flexible, reliable, and scalable while meeting the needs of the user and supporting the future growth. And of course, if it's poorly designed architecture, on the other hand, can lead in issue like high maintenance costs, difficult in scaling, security vulnerabilities, and performance booklet. And, and and in software architecture can be designed at two levels of abstraction. So we have the architecture in small and architecture in large. So for the architecture in small, it is concerned with the architecture of individual program. At this level, we are concerned with the way that an individual program in decompose into components. So what is the purpose of the architecture in small? The purpose of this is to ensure that each component is well designed, maintainable, and efficient. This call often address the concern with a specific application of service. So, for example, we have an e-library management system. The book management module might be designed as small-scale architecture with a class of a book, author, and of course the category of the book. And this design will cover how the class interact with each other and the methods they expose, and any internal data structure are used for efficient data handling. And we have architecture in large, which is about concerned with the architecture of complex enterprise system that include other system programs and program components. These enterprise systems are distributed over different computers, which may be owned by money or and managed by different companies. So the purpose of the architecture in large is to ensure that the system as a whole is scalable, resilient, and easy to integrate or expand over time. And this scope often include multiple applications, database, and external integration. So the difference is, ayan, in Navig, it is focused on internal design of a single in a small pala. In a small, it's focused on internal design of a single component. And for the large architecture naman, it's look at the border integration of multiple system or subsystem across an organization or complex application. So, best example for this in architecture in large is an enterprise-wide system, which is large system or big system. Architecture in large will describe how the library management system with user authentication system and reporting service interact. It would outline the protocol for data exchange, centralized logging, and overall system security. And of course, addressing the concern about scaling, fault tolerance, and data consistency across different departments in summary. So yun ang difference between the large and the small. And now we're going to proceed in the three advantage of explicitly design and documenting software architecture. So here we have a three nga, which is first we have a stakeholder communication, system analysis, and the large scale reuse. For stakeholder communication, it is architecture may be used as a focus of decision by system stakeholder or the user of the system. So what is the advantage of this? The advantage of this is a document software architecture provide a clear and shared understanding of the system structure and component. Of course, it also helped the stakeholders such as a developer, project manager, and business analysts and clients also to understand how the system will function and how parts interact and what requirements it meets. So yun, those are the advantages of the stakeholder communication or continuous communication between the stakeholders. And next, we have a system analysis which is about the well-documented architectures, enable the analysis of whether the system can meet its non-functional requirements. So we already know when we are creating a system that we have a two types of system requirements, which is the functional requirements and the non-functional requirements. So we already know that the functional requirements is what system should do or kung anong gagawin ng mismong system. The example of functional system is, the system has a login system which the user can log in. And the non-functional example is we use the encryption method or encryption and decryption for the credential, which is that's the non-functional part naman. So what is the advantage of the system analysis? Well, the advantage of this is an explicit architecture make it easier to analyze the system for quality attributes like performance, security, scalability, and maintainability of the software. And with the Dear Architecture Blueprint, engineers can predict the system behavior under different conditions and identify the potential bottlenecks or risk of the system. Then for the large-scale reuse naman, it is about the architecture may be reusable across a range of system or entire line of project. So what is the advantage of this naman? The advantage of this is when a system architecture is explicitly designed and documented, part of it can be reused across the other project, or we can use it for the or we can reuse the code from other project to add to another. Or example natin, we have a generic system, so we can reuse that. And of course, if we do that, we are saving time and reducing development costs. And components or patterns that have been truly designed and tested can be adapted to similar contexts, leading to more consistent and reliable system. So basically, other methodology like unified process, like what Sir that Abante talk last lecture is that it is one of the best example of the reusing code, which is they use the uh, object-oriented development. So doon kasi kadalasan ginagamit si reusing a code using the object-oriented development. And next natin is yung use of architectural model, which is we have two ways. First way is as a way of facilitating discussion about the system design and as a way of documenting an architecture that has been designed. So for the first is it is about a high level architecture's view of a system is useful for communication with system stakeholder and project planning because it is not cluttered with a detailed stakeholders can relate to it and understand an abstract view, and the system can discuss the system as the whole without being confused by details. So yun yung advantage nun, yung facilitating discussion about the system design. And the next one is yung documenting naman. So dito naman the aim of this is here to produce a complete system model that show the different component and system, and of course there are interface and their connection. So these are the ways to use the architectural model. Then for the next slide, we have the architectural decision. So for architectural decision or architectural design decision, it is about the creative process, so that the process differ depending on the type of the system being developed. However, a number of common decisions span all design process, and this decision affect the non-functional characteristic of the system. So these are the questions that we need to answer before we decide into architectural design. First, is there a generic application architecture that can be used? So we need to identify that first. So if there any generic system that we can use or we can make as a reference, it will be advantageous for us as a developer. And next is how will the system be distributed? And yan, before we proceed for the decision of architectural design, we need to understand or we need to identify kung how can we distribute the system, and of course what architectural style are appropriate, what approach will be used to structure the system, how will the system be decomposed into modules, and what control strategy should be used, and how will the architecture design be evaluated. So how, and last is how should be architecture be documented. So for this part, so before we choose when we are developing kasi we have a standards, and of course the ISO standards for the standard of our software is we have that for our methodology. So we need to consider or we need to see first what are the things or what the ISO that we're going to use on our project before we proceed, because we need to see if it's compatible to our project or not. So especially to the SDLC or System Development Lifecycle. Before we proceed to our project development, we need to choose a different types of, or we need to choose one type of SDLC we need before we proceed to the development, or before we proceed to the chapter 3, which is the methodology of the system. The example natin is we choose the agile because our system is small lang, or we need to create our system for fast-paced lang or more flexible than others. So that's why we choose agile compared to other SDLC like waterfall. And next natin is we have a continuation lang, which is about the architectural design decision then. So ito naman, in this part naman, system in the same domain often have similar architecture that reflect domain concept, application production lines, are built around a core architecture with variants that satisfy particular customer requirement. The architecture of the system may be designed around one or more architectural pattern or style, which capture the essence of the architecture and can be in, initiated in different ways. So yeah, we can use the different pattern and styles then when in terms of architectural design to see what are the compatible and not. So for this part naman, the particular architectural style should be depend on the non-functional system requirements. So like what I said kanina, is we have a functional and non-functional. So we need to defend on the non-functional system requirements before we proceed to the decision, which is under nito or under of that. as we have a performance, security, safety, availability, and maintainability. For performance, of course, we need to localize critical, it is a localized critical operation and minimize communication or use a large rather than fine-grained components. And for security, for this part, we can use the large or we can use a layered architecture with critical asset in the inner layers to make it more secure, of course. And for safety, we can localize safety critical features in small number of subsystem, or we can create more subsystem for safety purposes. So example, this data is more important than others, so uh, we can make it subsystem to make it more confidential and more safety than other data. Then next is the availability, which is include na dito yung or include na dito yung redundant components and mechanism for fault tolerance, and of course the availability of the data or the components of the system. And for the last one is these are the things, are these the most important then part of the non-functional system requirements, which is the maintainability, which is if the system is not maintained, the system will be not useful in future. So this is one of the most important. And this part, we can use the fine grain or replaceable components. So if there is something wrong on that part, we can change or update that part to make it maintainable, or we can use it in future. And next naman is for the next slide. So we have a architectural views naman. For this part, is each architectural model only show one view or perspective of the system. It might show how a system is decomposed into modules, how the runtime process interact, or the different ways in which system components are distributed across a network for both design and documentation. You usually need to present the multiple view of the software architecture. And for this part, so we have 4 plus 1 view model of the software architecture. So usually we have a 4 lang. Then based on our book from Sir Abante, we have a additional, which is a use case. So the first one is the logical, which is about logical view, which is about which show the key abstraction in the system or object or the classes. So what is the purpose of this view? The purpose of this view is show the system functional requirements, of course, and of course the classes and the communication between others. And it is focusing on the structure of the code and how components interact from high level or logical perspective. So usually the one who can see this or use this is the developers and the system analysts. And for example of logical view is in a social media application. The logical view might be show the main modules like yung user management, which is manage of account and post feeds or when we're posting on FB or YouTube or IG, and messaging, which is a continuous communication between to each other, and of course, notification system, which is uh, example, if there's a message, there's notification, and how does how they interact to achieve the application function. So dun pumapasok si logical view or ayan. Next natin is, of course, we have a process view. So what is the process view? It is process view which show how at runtime the system is composed of interacting process, or the main purpose of this is focuses on the dynamic aspect of the system, such as interaction between the process and uh, threads and tasks, and its cover aspect like currency, performance, and of course fault tolerance. And the audience for this part, the process view is simply the system integrators, and of course and performance engineers or yung mga engineers natin. So example for this process view is we can see our in a real life scenario, we can say that is about sending an email to each other. So example, I'm sending an email to Sir Sandrex. So before I go to the to Sir Sandrex, there's a process before it can go there. So example, if I compose an email that send it to Sir Sandrex, so it will direct to server first before to Sir Sandrex because the server will identify if the email is have the right the receiver or something on that. So before it go to Sir Sandrex. So example, if the email is good or the address of the receiver is good or right, so the email will send to Sir Sandrex. And if the email address is not right, so the server will message the sender or me to notify me or to make a feedback that the email that I sent is not or not received by Sir Sandrex because there's a problem or there's an error in the process of sending. So that's example. And next naman natin is we have a development view which is show how the software is decomposed for development. So what is the purpose of this? Ayan. So in development view or some based on my research, they sometimes it called like implementation view then. And what is the purpose of this? So the purpose is this is it describe the organization of the software component in the development environment, including modules and yung mga modules, library, and layers of core of layer of code. So sino yung mga gumagamit na to? So who are the user of this development view? Sometimes it is the developer and technical manager. So they are the one who manage this part, the development view. And example natin dito is we have an e-commerce website. This view will detail the code organization, including like payment process and product catalog and order management, and show how each component is structured in the code base. Then, ayan, um, next natin is develop. Next natin we have a physical view or deployment view. For this is it is about uh show how the software and that's what I said earlier. So we have a ano naman, physical view which is about physical view is we show the system hardware and how software components are distributed, how system distributed across the processor in the system. So for this part, what is the purpose of the physical view? So the physical view show the physical deployment of the software or on hardware, networks, or cloud infrastructure. Describe how components are distributed across the server or device. So the audience of this or the one who use this is the system administration, the development teams, and of course the IT infrastructure team. So the best example for the physical view is about for a healthcare application, which is this view might show how the application is deployed across the different server in multiple data centers to ensure the reliability and compliance with the data storage regulation. And for the last part naman dito is we can say that it is about the use case which is based on the scenario. So the use case is already discussed by Sir Sandrex earlier. So what is the purpose of the use case or scenario view? So, the purpose of this is to illustrate the specific use case or scenario of how the system should behave, uh, tying together, and the other view to show the system behavior in action. So the user or the viewers of this part is the of course the stakeholder and user and the analysis or analyst. So for the example nito is based sa ano ni user, yung use case as we can see sa use case the system actors, the actor is the user of the system or the end user, and of course the system boundary or the overall of the system, and the use case, which is the use case diagram show the interaction between the user and the system components. So why architectural view is matter. So of course the each architectural view serve as specific purpose and address different concern by organizing the architecture into view. As I said earlier, there are different views in architecture, which is the logical process development, physical, and the use case. Then it is used to clarify and communication, specialized analysis, and efficient development and maintenance also. Then next natin is we have architectural pattern. So for architectural pattern, patterns are means of representing, sharing, and reusing knowledge. An architectural pattern is styles description of a good design practice which has been tried and tested in a different environment. Patterns should include the information about when they are and when are not useful. Pattern may be represented using the tabular or in graphical description. So why we need to use the architectural pattern? So we need to use it to improve the design quality of the software, of course, which is about the uh, it is architectural pattern provide the proven solution, ensuring the design follow the best practice and are robust, of course. And of course, the maintainability and flexibility, which is this pattern support the scalable and modular design, making it easier to exchange or expand system as needed. And for the last reason why we need or why architecture pattern mattered is the enhanced communication, of course. The pattern provide a common language for architecture and developers. And of course, it used to facilitate clear communication among teams member. Architectural pattern help shape the structure and operation of a complex system, making them more efficient, scalable, and easier to manage over time. Then next natin, we have a model view controller. And for this one, so the model view and controller as a basic of interaction management in many web systems. So the decompose three major interconnected components is first is we have the module, which is the central component of the pattern, as we can see here. And the direct the data, manages the data, logic, and rules and the application. And it is an application's dynamic data, uh, dynamic data structure independent of the user interface. And next is we have the view. The view can be any output of represent the of an information such as chart or diagram, multiple views of some of the same information are possible. And the last one is the controller, which is accept the input and convert it into commands for the model and view. These are the representation. So for this representation, it separates the presentation and interaction from the system data and the system structure into three logical components that interact with each other. The model components manage this. for the model components manage the system data and associated with operation on that data. And for the view component naman, it define the manage how the data is presented to the user. Ayan, as we can see here in the representation, we have a model and update models and send use event to. And for the controller naman, we have the components that manage the user interaction naman. So, which is yung napag-press natin ng keys, ng pag-click natin ng mouse, and passes this interaction to the view models. As we can see in the representation, there are it is the communication between them. And of course, the advantage of this is in view and controllers can be easily added, remove or change. View can be added or changed during the execution. User interface component naman can be changed even at a runtime. But of course, there are disadvantage for this part then. For the view and controller are often hard to separate because they are almost connected to each other, and frequently updates may slow data display and degrade user interface performance. And the MVC style make user interface component uh, like view and controller highly dependent on model component. So it always depended on model. Then next natin is we have a layered architecture. For layered architecture naman, so we has a the layered architecture is used to model the interface of the subsystem. And of course, it organizes the system into a set of layer or abstract machine, each of which provide a set of service and support the increment development of a subsystem in different layer. When a layer interface change, only the adjacent layer effectively. However, often artificial to structure system in this way. So in this part, we have a user interface management, authentication, and authorization. And before we go, these are the layers. First is we interact to the user interface, then user interface proceed to authentication and the logic, or the process or the algorithm that we use. And after that, they're going to the system support, or we can say the OS and database or yung mismo operating system natin to function or to interact or to give feedback to the user. So when we use the architecture layer, so we use this when building new facility on the top of existing system. When the development is spread across the several teams, with each team responsibility for a layer of functionality when there is requirement for multiple level of security. So what is the advantage of this architecture layer? So the advantage of this is it allows the replacement of the entire layer as long as the interface is maintained, and of course the redundant facilities like authentication can be provided in each layer to increase the defendability of the system. But of course there is some disadvantage for the architecture layer, which is disadvantage of this in practice is providing a clean separation between layers is often difficult. So, dun lang naman sa part na yun. So, sometimes it's difficult. And of course, the high level layer may be interact directly with a low level layers rather than through the layer immediate below. And of course, performance can be a problem because the multiple level interpretation of the server's request is the process at each layer. So, and next we have a repository architecture. So when we say repository architecture, it is a subsystem must exchange data. This may be done in in two ways. So first is shared data is held in central. Wait, ayan. So that's first, we have a shared data is held in the central database or repository and may be accessed by all subsystems. So as we can see here as the in the picture, and each subsystem maintain its own database and passes data explicitly on or to other subsystem. And of course, the repository architecture is used when the large amount of the data are to be shared, and the repository model of sharing is most commonly used in uh most commonly used a this inefficient data sharing mechanism. So what is this? So it is all data in a system is managed by central repository. As we can see here in the representation, yeah, we have a project repository and the other, which is the UML editors, code generator is connected to each other. So this part is the central repository that is accessible all components, and components do not interact directly only through the repository. So when we are going to use this part or the repository architecture, we can use this pattern when we have a system in which large volume of information are generate that has to be stored from long time. You may also use it in data-driven system like what Sir Chandrex said earlier about data-driven, where the inclusion of the data in the repository is trigger an action or tool. And ayun. Next natin is we have a client-server architecture. So for this part naman is when we say client server architecture, it is about distributed system model which show how data and processing is distributed across a range of components, but it can be also implemented on single computer. So as we can see here in the representation, it is a set of standalone server which provides a specific service such as printing, data, and management. And of course, here we have a set of clients which can also can which can which call on this service, and it has a network which allow the client to access the servers which is from the internet. And in this part, in the client-server architecture, the functionality of the system is organized into services, which with each services delivered from separate servers. Client are users of this service and access servers to make use of them. So when we use the client-server architecture, so we can use this when the data is shared database has to be accessed from the range of location because server can be replicated. It may also be used when the load on a system is a variable. Yan. Uh, next natin is so for the next one we have a pipe and filtered architecture. So what is pipe and filtered architecture is about the functional transformation process, their inputs to produce output. So these are the example. As we can see here, the processing of the data in the system is organized so that each processing component is filtered, is discrete, and carry out one types of the data transformation. The data flows as in a pipe from one component to another processing, as we can see that in the representation. So it is commonly used in the data processing application for both batch and transaction base, where input are processed in separate stage to generate related outputs. And of course, it is maybe referred. to as a pipe and filter model, and it is a variant of the approach are very common when transformation are sequential. This is a batch sequential model which is extensively used in data processing system, and it is not really suitable for interactive systems. So it depends on the project that you're going to do or to make. Then next natin is ayan. So we have a application architecture. So when we say application architecture, the application system are designed to meet an organizational need as a business have much in common. Their application system also tend to have a common architecture that reflects the application requirements. A generic application architecture is an architecture for a type of software system that may be configured and adapted to create a system that meets specific requirements. Application architecture can be used as first, we can use it as a starting point of architectural design and design checklists and way of organizing the work of the development teams. And of course, we can use it for the means of accessing or assessing components to reuse it, and vocabulary for talking about the application types. And for this part, we have the choosing the right application for application architecture. So the choice of the architecture depend on the factors like the application size and complexity. Syempre, we need to identify the range or the capacity or the complexity of the system before we proceed that. And of course, we need to uh, the next thing is the scalability needs, which is we need to identify if the application with the higher scalability requirements often use architecture like microservice and event driven or serverless. And next is we have we need to consider we need to consider the maintenance and flexibility. And for the last is of course the budget. It is always in the budget or the cost of the project. Then next natin, so here we have a different examples of application types. Ayan, so the first example is about the data processing application, which is the data-driven application that process data in the batches without explicit user intervention using or during the process. So, ano yung purpose nito? What is the purpose of the data processing application? So, the purpose of this is about the process and analyzation a large amount of data, transforming it to meaningful information. And the characteristic of the data processing application is heavy use of algorithm and data manipulation, highly memory CPU usage, and often run to cloud infrastructure for scalability. So, best example natin dito is yung mga big data analytics, which is application like Apache. So, Apache is always used, and Hadoop and Spark for the data analysis. And for the next one, we have a transaction processing application, which is about data processing or data-centered application that process user requests and update information in the system database. So the purpose of this is about management transaction or to manage transactions or interactions, often with highly reliability and consistency. And best example nito yung banking system, which is yung application that manage financial. It is the one to manage the financial transaction like for banking software. So, ayan, yung bank to bank transfer and ang ang example po next example this is about the e-commerce system, which is yung mga online shopping platform like Amazon, where the transaction must be secured and consistent, of course, para to make sure that our client or the client is sure or ensure that their application that they use is consistent and of course secured. And next natin is about event processing system. So for the event processing system, it is about application where the system action depend on interpreting events from the system environment. So for this part naman, uh, uh, application or system designed to monitor, process, and respond to event in real time. An event in this context refers to any significant change or occurrence in a system. We can say such as a transaction, user action, a user reading, or an error or an error event processing system. And event processing system also are the foundation of application where real-time data processing and responsive and automated reaction are crucial. So this part is we already use this application on our on in this modern era. So we can use it to the real time transaction like yun nga, mga GCash transaction to other or bank transaction. And for the last example of application, we have a language processing system. So, language processing system is this application where the user intention are specified in a formal language that is processed and interpreted by the system. So, uh, it these are the software system designed to analyze, interpret and generate or transform human language. And this system is use a combination of natural language processing or NLP and techniques and machine learning and computational linguistic to work language and making them essential for application that involve text, speech, and other forms of the language based on the data. And that's all for my report. So I summarize na lang po for my report because it's too long po based on our book. And ayan po. Ayan. Thank you po, sir. That's all.
Okay, so as our discussant no mentioned about the architectural uh design no focus on architectural design, I mean. So, again, architectural design in software engineering is as an important piece, no, in the software development life cycle that focuses on defining, no, a structured solutions that meets all technical and operational requirements, while optimizing common quality attributes like performance, no, safety, security, and maintainability. Architectural design serve as a blueprint no, for both the system and the project developing it, bridging the gap between high-level design concepts and detailed design specifications. So this space lays the foundation upon which the software we built, ensuring that it aligns with the business goals and user needs. One of the primary objectives now of architectural design is to establish the architecture of the system, which consists of various components and their interaction. So these components can include subsystems, no, yung modules, services, and other entities that comprise the overall system. So architectural design or architectural patterns such as layered is architecture, no, microservices, or sometimes we call client server models, no, guide the design process by providing tried and true frameworks that facilitate the development of reliable and scalable software solutions. So in selecting the appropriate architectural pattern, designers can streamline development and reduce potential pitfalls. No, the architectural design process involves a comprehensive documentation that describe both either static yan po or and dynamic aspects of the system. So static aspect in a way that it include the organization of components, their relationship and interaction often represented using architectural diagrams such as component diagrams and deployment diagrams. On the other hand, dynamic aspect capture the behavior of the system through models like sequence diagrams and state chart. So these documentations not only aids and development but also serve as the reference for future maintenance and let's say for updates, ensuring that knowledge is preserved within the organizations. Quality attributes also play an important role in architectural design. We have what we call non-functional requirements such as scalability, performance, security, and maintainability. It must be carefully considered during the design process. For instance, an architectural or an architecture may need to be designed to accommodate variable loads, which could necessitate a microservices architecture that allows the independent scaling of components. So security consideration may dictate the need for a specific type of interaction between system components or the implementation of a particular authentication and I think authorization mechanism. So stakeholder involvement is also important aspect of architectural design as it is ensures that the system meets all user requirements while aligning with business objectives. So engaging stakeholders throughout the design process helps identify user needs, uncover potential challenges, and validate design decisions. So techniques such as architectural review, meetings, and the stakeholders feedback session can foster collaboration and ensure that all perspectives are considered. Ultimately leading to a more robust architectural outcome. Architectural design actually also includes modeling and analysis techniques to evaluate the proposed architecture against quality attributes. So various tools and methods can be employed to stimulate or even to simulate how the architecture performs under different conditions, enabling our designers to identify potential bottlenecks or weaknesses early in the development process. So techniques like performance modeling, pwedeng security assessment, and architectural trade-off analysis provide valuable insights that inform decision and help optimize the system overall architecture. Another vital considerations in architectural design is the impact of technology and choices on the architecture. Selecting programming languages, frameworks, databases, and deployment environments can significantly influence the system architecture by affecting maintainability, performance, and team expertise. So therefore, technology alignment with the architectural vision is essential. So as designers, we should analyze the technology landscape to ensure that the chosen technologies complement the architectural goals and provide the necessary tools for implementation. To sum up this discussion, again, architectural design is in software engineering is fundamental process that shapes the direction of software development projects. In establishing a clear architecture, documenting design decisions, and focusing on quality attributes, architectural design serve as a cornerstone for building robust, scalable, and maintainable system. Effective architectural design requires collaboration, take note of that, among stakeholders, inform technology choices, and ongoing analysis to adapt to changing requirements and technology. So the significance of architectural design cannot be overstated as it sets the stage for successful software development and the enduring quality of the software products delivered. Okay? So I think that's it. Thank you so much to our presenter.